Thought to this
Hi again.
Hi again. It's Tales from the Shed.
And so this is
Anne.
And I'm Alison. And we were having a conversation that ended up talking about being selfish and what we thought that meant.
Well, that's right, because I have a very firm conviction of what I feel about words. And a lot of times society looks at them in a slightly different way or judges it in a different way. And one of the words that I think is where everyone should be going to is to be selfish. Now that immediately sounds like we are grabbing, we're putting other people down, we're being really nasty and all the rest of it. But I think selfish means becoming your best self, finding who you are, not what you do necessarily, not what other people do, but it's who am I and how can I be the best? What is really about me that becomes myself when I give myself?
Yeah, and it's interesting what messages we get about that word. And I guess that the thing that you get from a child is don't be selfish. Don't be selfish, think of others, be nice, play nice, don't be selfish, don't keep things to yourself, don't hoard things, or like you say, deny those things to other people. That's the implication of being selfish.
That is, and I certainly think that there's a lot of behavioural traits that are good. We tell children not to be that, but it's the word selfish is bad and putting others down.
Yeah.
Whereas actually, I think this is where we can lose some of becoming our best self. People, when I see them in clinic, they're quite scared of being themselves or expressing themselves or being true to themselves or even acknowledging part of themselves. I've always wanted to paint and draw, but that's being selfish, because what I really need to do is I don't know, work doing this job I absolutely hate.
To look after.
To provide for, or to make sure that I'm doing something worthwhile, as opposed to developing who we are in line with everything. Because I have a great belief that the best gift we can give another person is our best self.
So that's interesting, because I remembered when I read good old M. Scott Peck, The Road Less Travelled, and he said that he was running some course and he asked the people there what was the purpose of their partner, and he was shocked and horrified when they kind of seemed to say the purpose of their partner for them was to support them, be there for them, all of this kind of stuff. And they were like, well, if that's so bad, what is the purpose of your partner? And he said something like, the purpose of Lily is to be her best self.
Yes.
That is the purpose of her.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of coming from that same
It is, because what we've got to say, prevent, because it sounds difficult, but we don't want to then become a servant of making Lily their best self, or making them, because then, but actually just by being your best self in love, honesty and intention, that person automatically has the space to become their best self. Because if I'm doing too much serving, that person will then either go off and be weird or come back with gratitude and how can I repay you? And then you kind of get lost in that codependency again. So it's almost giving someone the space without judgment to be their best self, to give advice and help if that helps them become their best self. But you being your best self is your best gift. And I think a lot of people will do when everyone else is happy, then I'll look at myself. Whereas actually it needs to be the other way around.
So you need to look at yourself first.
Look at yourself, become your best self.
Yeah.
And automatically that's giving no judgment to other people, because you become more invested in becoming your best self than...
Yeah, it's interesting, because I'm kind of noticing you've got your Buddha on the wall and things like that. And people often associate Buddhism with being selfless.
Yes.
Or there's an emphasis on selfless. So is that So you're losing yourself. There's this whole thing about losing yourself and your attachment to yourself and, you know, all of that kind of stuff. But you were kind of saying you thought Buddha was quite a selfish
Well,
person.
it's sort of, I think it's like a lot of circles when they close, at both points, the selflessness and the selfishness almost touch because you're closing that circle. But it is becoming that perfection of yourself and, if you like, your soul or your spirit. What is it that is you, that soul or your spirit? So by making your soul and your spirit yourself means that you lose that physicality, which is what the selfless is.
Right.
So we kind of come around in that circle that we lose the physical friction while we become more of ourself, our true self, which is our spirit, our consciousness, our soul, whatever word you want to call that.
So in terms of kind of thinking about how we might explore this kind of practically, it's almost like thinking about what could I do today that was selfish, even if it's a teeny tiny, you know,
just a little move. I
suppose it reminds me of, so yesterday I just went down into town and I was probably avoiding doing some work or something like that, usual story. And I went down to visit somebody that I knew that she's got a show on in the gallery, and that was great. And I came out and it was a lovely day, and I thought, I'm down here, what would I do? So I went and bought myself an ice cream.
How lovely.
And it was just like, that I'm just going to do that in the moment. And I'm kind of, you know, and my logical brain is saying, oh, calories, oh no, you don't need one, and all the listing of it would be, you know, it's self-indulgent and all that kind of thing. You don't need an ice cream to survive, all that kind of stuff. You've got to spend £3 on an ice cream or whatever it is. So I had all of those logical reasons why I should not do this. And I just thought, I'm going to go and get an ice cream. And it was a really nice interaction with the woman in the shop because I had to choose from about 10 different varieties.
Oh, how awful.
And then I had chocolate sprinkles, you know, and all that kind of stuff. Because that was the other thing. I kind of thought, I was just there, it was full of people, families and all the rest of it. And they were going in and choosing 10 different ice creams and all this kind of stuff. And I thought, well, I'll be really quick. It's all right, I'll be really quick because it's just me. And so I got in there and I just got into this conversation about what kind of cone was I having, what kind of ice cream was I having, because I said, you know, is that one better than that? She said, well, taste this one. And I did that. And then I was like, oh, I could have sprinkles. Yes, okay, we could do this. So it's this huge queue of people behind me. But it was that kind of, it was interesting.
Yeah.
Because I'd kind of made it all right if I was quick. I'd kind of got to the point where if I go in and I'm just not going to take
have a little
other people's
time,
I'm just going to have one scoop and I'm just going to do that, and I'm going to because I know what I want. And then it just ended up not being like that. And it was just lovely, great.
And I think this is it, it's becoming, listening, responding. And I think we learn a lot about ourselves, an awful lot about ourselves in these moments of what would I really love? And what am I doing? And really just, I guess we get back to Eckhart Tolle and the power of now and the power of what is me? Am I the body or am I the soul? And all these sort of deep things. But just in that moment, you can enjoy the fullness of the depth by just having an ice cream, which is kind of what Eckhart Tolle says. You can make it as complicated as you like. Actually, it's just about being true and allowing that to develop rather than if I do this, then that means that, that means this. And actually just do it and become.
And it reminds me of, I've got this little saying by Rumi, love a bit of Rumi, above my desk, and it says, let yourself be silently drawn to what you really love.
And that is pretty good. He's a good old chap, isn't he? Yeah.
Love a bit of Rumi. Okay. Be selfish today.